Hey guys, welcome back to the House of Gouldians. This week I'm particularly excited about the episode as we're going to be looking at Jose's setup. So he's one of our club members, and while we were at a social at his place, I quickly took some footage. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I decided to film vertically instead of horizontally, so I do apologize for that. So when we get to Jose's setup, I will put it up next to me and I'll talk you through sort of some of that. Going forward with the breeder features, though, the idea is to actually have that one-on-one sort of chat, and that is in the cards going forward. So if we don't do it this season, still definitely in season 2 we're going to be doing a lot more of that type of thing where we're going to do bird room visits. But yeah, I thought I'd show you his layout this week in particular. Then we're also going to have a quick catch up with the commoners. We've had some successes on our various projects, so I just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on some of that and where we're at. And then we also have some pick of the weeks that were sent in by some of the viewers, so we'll be having a look at that as well as answering one or two questions that came up on the channel. Right, so in terms of the building side of things, I needed the flights, as I said in the introduction, more urgently than the rest of the bird room, because I have a bird room already. So obviously long term I'd like to incorporate everything, but at this stage that was my priority. So you'll see in the first lot of photos, we were laying the slab as the sort of foundation for the flights. Then I don't weld at all, so I used aluminium tubing with the connectors. And the nice part is all you need is a hammer and a hacksaw type thing, and you can sort of construct what you need to in terms of the frameworks. Because of the fact that I'm using aluminium and not mild steel, I don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. So that works particularly well for me. I then use a galvanized square mesh. I like to go for a fairly small mesh, so that any chance of rats or something like that getting into the flights is kept to a minimal. A very small mouse theoretically could squeeze through, but adult mice wouldn't even fit. So yeah, I find this mesh works quite well for me. And then I wanted it as insulated as possible, so instead of using galvanized sheeting, I decided the rest of the bird room will be wood, so the sides and the back wall essentially of the flights, which is actually part of one of the two skins for the main bird room, would then be out of wood as well. So once again, I took the easy approach, and that I took the sort of slatted wood that slots into each other, and then I used a waterproof damp seal paint that can be used on wood as well, and painted that at least the wood using that. So therefore it's damp proof and the wood shouldn't swell, and I shouldn't have any issues in terms of that type of thing. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the flights. I'm going to have 3 flights, as you would have seen previously in one of the other episodes, but I've decided I'm going to tackle the middle flight first, purely because it was the most straightforward to do, and then I'll move on to the other 2 in terms of finishing them off. Quite honestly, I will probably do the slab of the main bird room next and start doing the framework for the wooden shed, and the roofing and that kind of thing as my next kind of priorities before coming back and finishing off the other 2 flights. I really only need the one now for this particular season. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the progress on the flights for the new bird room. You've seen the cages and that as well. You'll see, if we look at the cages that are in place already, the new perch that I added by the nest box that we spoke about in last week's episode, that has actually made a big difference in that the birds are now going to nest and that kind of thing. So yeah, that perch by itself wasn't enough space with the nest box being against it for the birds to actually comfortably land on and then go to nest. So yeah, the new perch has made all the difference. The birds are now going and looking and investigating the nest box. So yeah, it just shows you that one subtle little difference or change can make a massive difference to your breeding, or your bird's willingness to sort of go to nest and that kind of thing. So yeah, we need to give more thought to the way we lay out our nest boxes and that kind of thing, and that's something so simple that I hadn't even thought about. And there you can actually see the cockbird using the nest, at least the perch ready for it. Bear in mind, this is Louis and Charlotte that I moved into this cage. In the meantime, you can just see the French flag in the background there, on the stress perch. I'm not actually going to let them breed. I just wanted to put them in the box, get them accustomed to it. In the meantime, they've already bred for me this season. So yeah, I just wanted to entice them with a bit of grass that they would investigate it and get to know the layout of the box. You'll see in the next episode I'll have a blank put in front of the hole so that they can't get in there, as I don't want to overtax the hens. We've spoken about that before, where if you're going to just keep breeding your hens, you're going to lose them during the molt. So I cut them off after 2 rounds. Odo and Josephine are ever on the front cage here. They breeding at the moment, so they've built a nest, and they're the pair that I discovered the perch problem with. So they already now they've built a nest and they're starting to lay eggs. So yeah, that's where we're at currently, in terms of the building and the boxes and that for the new birdroom. So in terms of the commoners side, we've had a couple of successes. So in terms of the blues behind me, although I think they might be just out of shot, unfortunately. There's the cockbird. They have given me 3 youngsters. Originally there were 4. The 4th chick looked to be a silver, but unfortunately that particular chick didn't make it. What it has done for me though, it's proven out the hen. So the hen was a possible split, I didn't know for sure, and now it's proven. The fact that there was a silver youngster tells me that she's definitely split for blue. The 3 remaining chicks, one of them does look, based on the nodes, to be a blue bird, but we'll only know for sure once they've coloured up. So yeah, you can see some pictures of them. They are doing very well, they're growing nicely, but remember they are being fostered under our yellow rump. So if you have a look at the yellow rump pair, that's the next part of the commoners that we've had success with, and that is they gave us 5 chicks originally, and now they're busy raising. I've taken some of the chicks out, but now they're busy in the nest box. They're raising the 3 blue chicks. I will give the blues an opportunity to try again, and hopefully this time they raise their own chicks, and then the yellow rumps will be given a final opportunity for the season. So yeah, they've fostered for me, but I wouldn't want to overexert them, so the final round will be the next one basically that they delay. Then in terms of the pied project, unfortunately they haven't yet produced any chicks. The hen and the cock that I put her with, they keep going in and out the box, but they're not actually laying any eggs yet. Bear in mind, she is a first-year hen, so that doesn't really surprise me. Her parents, however, are breeding. They are on eggs at the moment, so there's no reason why they shouldn't raise them successfully, but strange things do happen. So last season they bred 3 chicks, one of them was the pied, and then the last clutch for the season, for some reason the cockbird decided to toss the chicks out of the nest. So it might have been that I was a little bit too involved, or close by their nest box with it, sort of preparing for filming these episodes and that kind of thing. Or it might have been something else, maybe something was wrong with the chicks that we didn't know about, or something like that. So yeah, hopefully the eggs that they're on at the moment hatch without any problems. There are a couple of fertile eggs there, and you will remember that they did try 1 clutch already this season, but unfortunately those didn't hatch because of a night fright. They had abandoned those eggs, but I'm hoping this round they incubate successfully, and more to the point that they rear their chicks. The other part of the commoners was the yellow series birds. The double factors behind me They also first year birds. They did lay eggs, but they didn't go and incubate, so that was a little bit disappointing. And then but we'll see what happens with the balance of the yellow birds. They may or may not breed successfully for us. We'll have to see. There's still a round or so left in the season out of them, so we'll see what happens over the next sort of 6 weeks type thing before the season comes to a close. Otherwise I'm very happy with the way the commoners side of the birdroom has gone. At least we've got some nice results to show for the season, and couldn't be happier. Right, so in terms of Jose's setup, he has separate aviaries or flights that he uses for breeding his normals, and some of the birds in our majestic bloodline have come from his flock. So he's a particularly successful breeder in terms of your normals, and when I actually first got into Gouldians, his name kept coming up as the best place to get red-headed purple-breasted normals from, and that comes from his reputation that he had built up on the show scene. So you've seen the sort of aviary type setup. He also has a bird room, which you'll see in this footage, and just similar to my own various cages or box cages. But why I particularly found his setup inspirational is that he's made everything himself. He's converted shelving and all sorts of things into box cages, and it just shows you don't have to have fancy cages to be able to successfully breed Gouldians. I've gone this route because of the channel, and I want you guys to have better visibility on the birds, but it's certainly not a requirement if you're wanting to breed Gouldians. So don't let a budget put you off. With a bit of meshing, you can very much make your own breeding cages and be successful with Gouldians, and that's what I love about Jose's setup, the fact that he's used that creativity and created his own cages and setup for his breeding. When I say successful, he's bred last season 150 Gouldians. That was his cutoff when he took away his boxes. And then this year he's already on about 120, and he's still breeding for the season. So he's going to have a bumper season for sure. And you can see some of the youngsters and some of the mutations that he does breed. He does do yellows, obviously your single factor as well as your double factors. He does yellow rumps, and then obviously all the variations on the greenback as well in terms of white breasts and all that kind of thing. He's got lilac breast and all that as well. The only sort of mutation that he doesn't do a lot of is on the blue side of that. He does have a handful of blue birds, but it's not his main focus. He just finds that the blues are quite finicky, it's not his main focus at all. But he's, like I said, a very successful breeder and exhibitor. And I say that because Jose has not only won a good couple of club competitions, but he's then gone on to win provincials, and ultimately he's won nationals twice. So he's really proven himself on the show bench, which is always a great thing to sort of develop that name for yourself or reputation in terms of the bird game. So it's really great to have his knowledge and wisdom within our club. One of the things that Jose shared with us during this club meet was his soft food recipe. So you can see some of the ingredients in this photo that goes into his soft food, and this is what it looks like when he's finished. So he really puts a lot of time and effort into the nutrition of his birds and the overall well-being. So fantastic breeder and show or exhibitor, should I say, of Gouldians. And a big thank you to Jose for letting me get some footage, and I can't wait for us to have a one-on-one chat.
Be strong.
So So for pick of the week, we had 2 submissions. One of them was from Nancy, and it's of her, well, 2 of her chicks that she's bred so far this season. And it's great to have Nancy, she's since joined our club, to have her as part of the club, because then we can compare how our South African birds sort of shape up against American Gouldians and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the photo that she sent. And then the next submission was from Jose, and it's of one of his clutches of 7. And it just shows you what wonderful parents Gouldians can be if given the opportunity. I know in last week's episode or last time's episode we were talking about fostering, but really they can make great parents. So yeah, just something to think about. And then I also wanted to take the chance to chat about a question that one of our subscribers submitted on the YouTube channel, and I really do try and respond to any questions you guys pose, and particularly if it's a subscriber of the channel and that. So his particular question was, does the same rules that we discussed a couple of episodes ago in terms of not mixing head colors apply to orange heads, given that an orange-headed bird has a lot of other genes in it as well? So remember, for an orange-headed bird to be visual, you have to have a single copy of red. So if you breed an orange and a red bird, red-headed bird should I say, it's not really going to have that bigger impact as a black to redhead combination would have in terms of Dr. Sarah Park's research. And if you haven't seen that episode, I strongly recommend you go back and watch that. A black-headed combination with an orange head, theoretically, the blackheads, you do get blackheads with the orange tip beaks. So it depends, I suppose, very much on the genes behind the bird, to answer your question. So yeah, I don't see any problems with mixing orange to the other head colors, red or to black for that matter. But yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, you would get a couple of extra cockbirds out of it, and you know your ratio would therefore be out in terms of your sexes. But with it not being like a red-head blackhead incompatibility, but more an orange head that has theoretically at least a copy of red in it and probably a copy of black, you shouldn't have put it this way, the effect shouldn't be as dramatic. So yeah, certainly something I wouldn't shy away from. And that brings us to the end of the episode.